With a deep sense of gratitude on behalf of ASOCHAM, I, Bharat Jaswal, Regional Director ASOCHAM, would like to welcome you all in today's Knowledge Management virtual meet on Education Excellence Summit Conference. Education is an essential ingredient for achieving the milestone of Atmanirbhar Bharat. Education is critical for holistic development of the nation and is a key enabler for ensuring inclusive and sustainable development. Expanding access to higher education, skill development, and vocational training enhancement. Nations competitive in the global and possible social economic development. India has world's third largest education system, with the education market valued at US 80 billion. With more than 50% of the India's population below the age of 25, it is imperative to focus on the youth of the country and provide a suitable education ecosystem to reap the demographic dividend. Today's program is divided in two parts. One is technical session and second is inaugural announcements. At the inaugural will be soon joining with us Honorable Governor of Jharkhand, Sri Ramesh Bais, one of the most experienced leader we have in the country. Sri Ravindranath Mahato, the Honorable Speaker, Jharkhand Legislative Assembly. Government of Jharkhand, a visionary leader and a true advocate of common people. Sri Jagannath Mahato, Minister, Department of Education and Literacy Development, Government of Jharkhand, one of the humblest leader I have met in recent past. We have many eminent personalities in the education sector in today's program. In today's technical discussion of the program, we have with us expert panelists like Sri Pramod Kumar, who is founder president for ISBM Group. Sri Munish Govind would be joining with us soon. He is registrar for ISEC University. Sri R. Sridhar, he is vice chancellor for Kalinga University. Sri K. Bikshapatiji, he is director general for National Academy of Construction, NAC. Srimati Isha Patel, she is executive director for Patel Group of Institutions. We have also joined with us Sri Ansul Guaba, he is director for Franklin Aviation Services Private Limited, and Sri Pramod Kumar, secretary for the Indian Education Foundation. The session moderator for today's program is Mr. Manu Seth. He is CEO for Speaking Minds, who will be the session moderator, and International Business Consultant CEOs Clubs Network. He is motivated business leader with a passion for creating value, innovation, and delivering technology services that have a positive impact on the life of people. With over 25 years of demonstrative experience in driving and scaling business at national and international level. Over to you, Mr. Seth. So you have to unmute yourself.
Am I audible now? Yes.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Thanks, Bharat, for setting up such a wonderful ground and a wonderful platform where we have a lot of eminent people and great personalities, stalwarts. I'm sure the word of wisdom is enough. And we would really appreciate all the great efforts coming from the Chamber of Commerce, where they have been putting all the untiring efforts in this tough time and still trying to bridge the connects, get people on the common platform, hear them out, set their perspectives right. And then there's always a new takeaway from all the eminent panelists. So, without any further delay, I'll move on to our session where we are talking about education, management education, and looking towards making Jharkhand as an education hub in the time to come. And it could be nothing better when we have people from various field of life. So we have eminent personalities who have been coming from like IIT IIMs, they have been the masters, they have been like the walking encyclopedias for the industry and for the market. Just one second, there's a call. I'm disconnecting it. Sorry. They've been like a walking encyclopedia for the management skills. People who are coming with the as a director general for Academy of Constructions, where infrastructure is the new upcoming thing for the country. There's a lot to hear from him. And then from Mr. Pramod Kumar, a lot of great insights, Dr. Sridhar. So I will kickstart with Pramodji to understand that how do you see the change and the involvement of the universities? Like you have been the founder president, you have conceptualized many things in educations, in universities, and framework. And we will also touch upon a point of local youth. But how do you see the universities making and playing a major role in today's scenario with the youth and the way the education system is going?
I think the uh, education I look at, and especially when I look at professional education and management education, which is my expertise,
Mm,
I always look at education is like training a surgeon. So imagine a surgeon who goes to the operation table
mm.
and says, I feel nervous when I see blood. Okay. Or he gives you a history of 10 surgeries and says to you, I don't know whether the patient will survive or die, but I will try. That that's something is
अभी बोलेगा इन लोग का पूरा फोटो आएगा ना, सब स्पॉन्सर है तेरा।
education.
बाकी जो बच जाएगा ना उसको बोलना एक बार कि सर
Given that
ऑन
situation,
ऑन कीजिए, हमको आपका फोटो ले, है
I
ना।
think
ऐसे दो बच जाएगा ना।
universities and universities have a great deal of responsibility and role to play. Okay, now in management education, you have a very wide diversity. Right from the top, you are in Jharkhand, you have XLRI right there. Okay, I mean, I worked with XLRI for almost a decade. I started my professional career literally from XLRI. Okay, and I mean, before that, I was in Ahmedabad for a year, but my area is human resource management, so I shifted to XLRI. Okay, now the educator have a big role too. Now you will have to align your education to the student that you get.
Mhm.
You know, in my observation, educators are too obsessed and universities are too obsessed with the curriculum they set.
Mhm.
They don't look at education and impact of this education, outcome of this education, the future. I mean, in management education, you have a big future value, big future value. I mean, like questions like employability of management graduates. I have a big question about it. Why should this question arise? As an institution, when we are training them, are we not looking at uh, what is the future of this child?
Mhm.
Having completed MBA, where this child has to. Okay, so I mean, to keep it short,
Sure.
there are two things that I follow. One, you have to have your basic philosophy of your institution right. For example, we work with a basic philosophy that a child that we train in our institution should not roam around on the street knocking everybody's door. Do you have a job? Do you have a job? Okay. He should pick up a job right from the campus and he should be trained enough for industry to find him fit. To find him fit. That's one important value. And over there, he should not be underemployed. Okay. You see, an MBA working as a telecaller somewhere. I mean, that's not what MBA is all about.
No, no,
Okay.
I really appreciate you really brought a very good point that what's the value of an MBA?
So can I add a couple of more points?
Yeah, please, please, please.
Now, so when so that's one side of the story. The second side of the story, having entered professional life. Hey, am I going to grow? You see, today, and look at this education in the modern context, where the economic value for students in career. I have students who have passed out in 2006, and incidentally from that part of the country itself. Today, they have risen to a level of Asia Pacific directors. Okay. And working on a salary levels like 3 crores annually.
Mhm.
Okay. So it has a big impact. And the final point that at this point in time I'll make, as educators, we should also understand that we influence the society. We influence the society. We create economic value for the society as well. I mean, sometimes I say, if you start looking at ISBM alumni, and look at the asset value of these alumni, it will be something like, I mean, we have around 9,000, 10,000 alumni, it will be in excess of 30,000 crores. So there's a big social impact of it. No? So, and here educators and institutions have to reflect back on uh, how we are handling it. Everything will not happen by government intervention.
No,
So I
I really appreciate. So I'll come back to you, and there's some good points which I think we will need more insight from you, where you have spoken about like the futuristic value and what paradigm MBA and a program should bring, and the youth should not be unemployed, or it should be used to an optimized level. That's one takeaway, which we will come back. And while we move on the board, I would love to hear from Mr. Sridhar sir that where you are heading such a great university, and you are like in yourself as an encyclopedia of the whole management staff. You have been talking to various categories of youth coming across, and how do you see this situation, how do you see this kind of thing moving forward in terms of matching up of an education system and the employability of the youth in the market scenario?
Okay, thank you, sir. Thank you very much. Am I audible?
Yes, you are.
Yeah, fine, sir. It's a very valid question, and I really thank to associate him such kind open discussion. Now, see, the responsibility of university is changing, in a lot many ways, looking to the present situation. And if you see the role of to align with the society's societal needs, have
Dr. Saab, we are losing your
first of all,
network, looks like it.
the
I think
work
we have
training.
no problem.
So by the time we come
Hello.
back to Dr. Sridhar, are you there?
Hello.
Yes, sir, you are back. You are back. I think there was a network glitch. Do you want some time, and should I come
Yeah.
back to you in a while, or it's okay?
So what I was adding here is it's only Nikhil, am I audible or not? That's simple.
Yes,
Your
you are
voice,
audible.
Sridhar. And I think you
Yeah,
have some.
but yeah, the thing is what. Yes, maybe,
Dr.
sir. It's maybe a network issue.
I suggest you to switch off your video so that you will be very clear. It is audible.
Correct. Dr. Sridhar, you are there? Okay, so by the time he comes back, so I'll move on to Shri Bikshapatiji. You're there, sir? So we'll move on to Bikshapatiji, and then we'll come back once his network is stable. So you also don't need any introduction, but I'll appreciate if you can take few words and talk about your public service awards which you have received from UN and the great work that you have been contributing. So coming from yourself will be really appreciable, but yes, your commendable work for the public, for the community, and creating this kind of domain is really empowering. and is really futuristic the way we see the foresight for the country. So over to you, sir. First, a quick brief, and then I'll put a question to you.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you very much. At the outset, let me also thank Cham for initiating this wonderful, very vibrant webinar on education and skill development. It's the need of the hour that demonstrate that industry is really thinking about the quality resources from the education system. Right. My background, I am a civil engineer. I retired as the engineering chief of Roads and Buildings Department of Government of Telangana. And while in service and subsequently after retirement, I'm continuing as a Director General of National Academy of Construction.
Bikshapatiji sir, you need to be a bit close to the mic.
Right.
Yes.
Is it, am I audible better now?
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely clear, sir.
Sorry for that glitch.
No worries, no worries.
I was sitting away from the mic. National Academy of Construction is a joint enterprise set up by the construction industry, namely Builders Association of India. So they are the contractors of all government projects in the country. Every contractor you name working for PWD or government agencies is a member of this association. So what they did is they approached the government here at that point in time, saying that despite putting best materials and best professionals on the job, the delivery, the final product of the construction is not to the satisfaction of the users. So what is missing there is the skill of engineers, skill of supervisors, skill of workmen in delivering and executing the project. So with that background, state government at that point in time gave vast land here, about 50 acres of land. And this is a wonderful academy. Like we have been seeing that education system, there have been a lot of reports and other things that our education system is ultimately not producing employable people. So what we are doing is we are just filling that gap here. Just now, Dr. Pradeep also mentioned that, Dr. Pramod, that MBA is working as a telecom, right? So a lot of MBAs, a lot of graduate engineers, a lot of general graduates, and leave of the school dropouts, 10 plus 2 or below 10 people, a lot of them are unemployed without any proper career guidance. So this academy, the primary objective is to guide the students, guide the unemployed school dropouts to a better career, either as a technician or a supervisor or a manager, as an accountant, focusing towards the construction industry. That has been set up way back in 1998.
Mm-hmm.
And funds pouring from the contractors and the government support in backing up and everything. So far, this academy has trained more than 4.25 lakh people. And every year, on an average, 20 to 25,000 people are trained here. The trainings include unemployed youth, because our focus is on the unemployed youth. Now, particularly from the rural and the urban slums, people, they study up to 10th class, maybe up to 12th class, and they drop out. Some of them continue to go for graduation, but they are without jobs, and nobody is there to guide. So we have an industry which has a wonderful growth rate of 7% and contributing 8 to 9% to the GDP of the country, and which supports and which indirectly and directly employs almost 4.5 crore people across all the levels. So we tell them that these are the career opportunities for you. And the short-term trainings are supported by the government and state and central government schemes. And the candidate is not required to pay anything. We provide the candidate free training, residential training, and support him with good placement with private industry. You should, we are really very proud to say that we are in league with the top academic institutions where you see that one candidate gets multiple placement opportunities in the industry. Here, a plumber or a supervisor or engineer trained by us gets that demand from the market. So whatever we teach, that is really to the need of the industry. That's how we are doing. Maybe you have some question?
Yes. So, Bikshapatiji, that's very insightful. I picked up two, three words, something which you mentioned to talk about the aspiration of the youth.
Yes.
And one thing which you mentioned was like, I don't know whether with the lack of proper word, and I'm sure in the conversation I would have the other stalwarts to add to it. You have somewhere touched a very sensitive point where we have unemployed youth moving from a rural market to an urban market. And the numbers are quite exciting, where we talk about 4.5 lakhs, we talk about the GDP contributing to 8 to 9%. You have touched a word around dignity, where we are using a word called contractors and these kind of things, which should be respected well. I think it's a very sensitive matter, but I feel that an institution like you can really lay a path out for this, that it should be given a good respect. It should not be treated like, oh, it's like an underprivileged job, or it's someone who would not have got any job or is doing this. So I think this can be an interesting purview for which we would love to hear you again. And I'll go back to Dr. Sridhar and come back to you with these two perspectives. I think those are very good, interesting insights that you share, because when we are talking about youth, today's youth, it's very, very important to address them personally also. Like ego mindset is a very, very big thing. And we would even hear from a young, vibrant panelist with us, Isha. And before moving to her, we'll first understand from Dr. Sridhar. Dr. Sridhar, are you back in the panel there?
Yeah.
Perfect,
I'm
sir.
here.
So
Right,
over to you
right.
back now.
Okay,
Please,
thank
sir.
you, sir. Thank you very much, sir. It's no, when we started our discussion, there was a very right question from you, sir, especially how to bridge the gap between the employment of the youth and the role of university. At the same time, the role of university aligning with the society. This was your question, in the beginning. And what I feel in the changing scenario, as we are dealing with the number of students, at present we are having 7,000 plus students from around 20-25 countries. And as Jharkhand, Chhattisgarh is also dominated by especially tribal population. With certain this scenario, now how a university should act? That's a very valid question. How a university must act, what kind of product a university must deliver to the student. What we are following, sir, especially, this should be a guideline for all the university. We have to act in three ways, sir. Three ways means we have to be a training provider.
Sure.
And once I was talking to a general manager of Sony Corporation, he said we do not have time to train the candidate. We want MBA or engineers. They should be joining our organization with having all kind of training. So we do not have time to provide training to these people, especially maybe in production, maybe in any part of engineering, or maybe in human resource, or maybe in marketing or finance accounts. So we want to have a finished product, an end product from the industry. So see, he has given the an insight. You make a university as a training ground, just not a theoretical knowledge. So we have to create the candidate with the training, with skill. That's very important. Number one, it may be engineering, maybe your pharmacy, law, or management, any courses which you are running. That you have to create this candidate with absolutely training. A professional we have to create to match with the industry's standard. Then research orientation, second, is very important. We have to produce scientists, especially commercial scientists. If you see our role in patent compared to the US, China, even Korea, we are very poor still. The patent regime, we are not follow the international standard. We have to motivate the student to go for the patent. Especially, I'm talking about the commercial patent. If you see the modern technology, our role is patent is very poor. Maybe it's a mobile, or maybe a digital. Go any research. We are simply copycats. So we should go for the commercial research. Then finally, important factor that is entrepreneurship. We are not able to produce the entrepreneurs. And a slave mentality, go join a company, work for 20, 30, 40, 50,000 lakh rupee. So we are not able to somehow to touch the very vital point, that is entrepreneurship, where a government is providing various schemes. There are number of funds are there, various taxation support is there for the student. But somehow the university is not able to to train the student, especially on self-employment is concerned. So what my advice is to the universities is we should promote entrepreneurship among the students. So three factors are very important: train the professional and provide the research and promote the research. Then third very important factor is develop the entrepreneurs. This is all my views.
So I'll pick up your second point, but I'll come to you later where you talk about patent, you talk about research. I would love to have your viewpoint, and that question I'll throw to all. In terms of the new education policy, are you seeing that change getting imbibed, or we are just on the top of the layer? And I have a question for you, Pramod sir, going back to you. You're coming from all the great institutes you mentioned, and I think we all look up to those institutes in our childhood days. Though I tried many attempts, but I couldn't crack it. So I would really love to understand from you, sir, how do you differentiate in today's world a thin line difference between skill and talent? I think how we are looking as a youth is like we spoke about skill, and we are even talking about talents, and then we will come back to the word like research, patent. So do you see a difference between skill and talent, or how do you would like to address us?
See, skill of a talent, let me deal with the issue of talent first. Talent is capability. Talent is capability building, okay, which is something which a person, when they develop, it continues over a very long period of time. So let's say, for example, I have a drive to excel in life. That's talent. Okay, that's talent. I have a risk-taking ability. That's talent. Okay. I learned to take responsibility. That's talent. Okay. I am decisive. I can make decisions. That's talent. So fundamentally, our emotional capability. You see, like I began by saying the surgeon. Imagine a surgeon who says, "I feel nervous seeing the blood." Okay, the emotional capability. Okay, to withstand the pressures of the professional life and deal with questions, likes and dislike, criticisms, and all those kinds of abilities. That attitudes and values. All this get into the category of talent. This is very important. Now, I'll like to say a little more about talent building. Okay, skill is like I learned today, digital marketing. Okay, I learned, uh, let's say, certain branding models. Now they're there today, they'll become obsolete tomorrow. Okay, they will not survive very long. I'm a professor of human resource management. Okay, I can tell you from a confidential report way back, from confidential report as performance evaluation, okay, to 360-degree performance assessment, to scorecard-based performance assessment. Okay, look at so much change on just one skill that has happened.
Yeah.
Okay, so skills will keep changing with time, with the demand, with new technologies, with new perspective, new level of competitiveness. Okay, people will keep discovering. The talent is something which is going to continue over a long period of time. Okay, interestingly, I would like to highlight because Dr. Sridhar raised a question about that entrepreneurship. Okay, or develop. You see, some of the world's top entrepreneurs who influence the entire world are college dropouts. Okay, I mean, whether you talk Facebook, you talk about Microsoft, you talk about Apple, whatever you know, nothing. I mean, I keep saying a lot of times to industry fellows who say, "Do you have a first class?" Okay, throughout first class, and do you have 80%? You know, I remember once I was arguing with them, saying that, look, how did I mean, for example, I mean, in my opinion, Tata Group has a very archaic policy. Some of the changes they must make. Okay, they, I was talking to them and they say, I want somebody throughout first. And my question to them is, when a child is in 10th standard, when did the child know that I might be working with Tata Group, so I better get first class today? Okay,
Correct.
I mean, I can't
Correct.
play.
Correct.
I can't play. Do I not learn by playing as well? Okay, anyway, we learn a lot of things, okay, over there. So there is a difference between skill and capability. Okay, now,
So, sir, do you see that there is a need to highlight, because with the younger generation and the mindset, as you said, like that an MBA is just working as a call center operator. Why? Like today, MBA looks like it has doesn't hold any value. So that was my whole context. That is the youth of today really understanding their capabilities, or are we putting them in the right frame of mind?
I'll share with you the biggest challenge is, like you raised the question of talent. Biggest challenge is the talent, not the skill.
Hmm.
Not
Correct.
this. Let me give you, I mean, I really work very closely with the students and I really love doing that. Okay, I'll give you one mismatch between our social value system that they learn. Okay, social value system that they learn and the process of growing up. Nothing wrong with it. Okay, but mismatch with the professional value system.
Hmm.
Mismatch with the professional value system. So let's say, you know, I was the a guy who thinks soliciting soliciting is undermining your self-esteem. किसी से मांगना किसी से मांगना किसी को request करना is like भीख मांगना. Now, it's a social attitude that they learn. Now, you tell me, when does business happen without soliciting?
Absolutely.
When
Absolutely.
when can business happen without soliciting?
It can't.
Now,
And
you want a good sales and business executive. His basic value system doesn't support him. So he goes to a job, and if he has to meet 5 clients, okay, he feels that as if I'm begging.
yes.
If I'm competing on sales between 5 products, let's say a client has the option to buy one out of the 5 products. And if I have to make client understand, persuade client why my product is a better product, and if that looks like soliciting and therefore it looks like begging. You see, the guy can never be a successful sales guy, irrespective of how much classroom training you have given him. I mean, so that value system transformation. You know, one of the things that we always do, we would like them to leave behind their social conditioning back home.
Hmm.
And we tell them that, look, the social attitude that you learn back home and in your social context was good for your home. You want to use it when you go back to your home.
Sure.
Okay. Was good for the social context where you lived. Now that you are doing MBA, you'll not even go back to your home.
Hmm.
You'll not even go back to your home. You'll probably, I mean, you might have come from Ranchi, but probably you'll work in Pune, you will work in Delhi, you will work in Bangalore, you will work God knows where, and maybe you will work in New York.
Correct.
Now, so that the mismatch of the value system is one of the biggest. Okay. Second important thing, which I mean, I'm just trying to build on talent issue. Let's say, for example, independence, emotional independence. In parenting process, a good child is a dependent child. A good child who conforms to the authority of the, we have a hierarchical family. तो हम बच्चे से बोलते हैं वैसे बड़ों से ऐसे बात करते हैं क्या? Do you argue with elder people? Now, here he is joining a company where his 20-year older vice president says, "Hey, you can't talk to me.
Correct.
You can't disagree. If you have a point of view, you can't disagree with me." So a lot of folk need for the reworking on the past conditioning.
Correct.
And much more. I mean, I would not.
No, absolutely. So from this, I will jump on to Isha because she's a young, vibrant panelist with us here, and it will be very insightful to hear her viewpoint now, where she is at this age, being an executive director of Patel Group of Institutions. So Isha, we would love to hear from you. We are being quoted as the youngest population in the world, the young India, and the new paradigm. How do you see your institution, and do you really face these kind of mindset challenges, and how are you looking forward for it
Yes,
in
sir.
the current education system?
Thank you for the question, sir. And I'm very grateful that I can be a part of such an esteemed panel. I don't have probably even half the experience of half of that of everyone here. But if I could give a perspective from the younger generation side, um, all the things that everyone else has spoken about till now, skill set is needed because when I've recently graduated, and in my 2 years of working with the students in my university, and especially for me, I studied from Delhi University. So I had students with me, or my peers were people who were the best of the lot of the country. And then I come back to Bhopal, Madhya Pradesh, and the kind of students that are studying in my university are kids coming from rural areas from Bihar, Madhya Pradesh, Jharkhand, Chhattisgarh. So I see a stark difference in terms of the exposure that kids have, say, in a DU or IITs, and the kind of exposure that kids have in the kids studying in my university. And the analysis is the same, sir, that what we are teaching and the curriculum that we have, irrespective of whether it's a very good college or whether it's colleges that are working in rural areas or in smaller towns, is that there's a big mismatch between what the industry needs and what the curriculum that we have sort of a rote learning framework in India. बस पढ़ के हम रट्टा लगा के फिर एग्जाम दे देते हैं. ये DU में भी होता है, and this is what happens even here in, for example, say my own university, the students studying here. Now the difference that I see is, sir, that kids who are at that level, who are the cream of the cream studying in IIT or DUs, they, because of that exposure level and because of the kind of students that they're studying with, एक internal kick होता है. They themselves are looking for internships. They are looking to do the extracurriculars. They are looking to find some work experience or building up their other skills. That sort of exposure is not there with kids who are coming from rural areas, which is what in the past 2 years of my working, I continuously, whatever students I engage with, I try to tell them that your competition, because sadly it is a competition, considering that we have the largest population in the country, I try to tell them that, don't think that you're competing with just your class or just all the students graduating out of your university. You're competing with all the kids graduating in 2021 or 2019. So you have to be able to have the same skill set. And when it comes to aspirations, sir, of the youth, I think there's an image of two Indias. If you will allow me to give quote two examples. Uh,
Please.
one is a student, his name is Satyam. He's a student I noticed for the past 2 3 months. He's a first year student, very dedicated. I see him every day. He's studying. After college is over, also he puts in 2 3 extra hours. He's learning coding from one of the teachers. So very dedicated child. So I went up to him one day and I asked him, Beta, what do you want to do? What is your goal? What are your dreams? And he hails from a very rural area in Bihar. And he tells me that, ma'am, I want to be an entrepreneur someday. I want to have my own business. If it can be a successful startup, that will be it for me. So I was very touched that irrespective of the fact where he comes from, he has such a big goal. Now, that is one example. The second example is, sir, last year I had visited my ancestral village. It's a small village near Singrauli, if you've heard of the place. in
Singrauli, yeah.
Madhya Pradesh. Ji. So there was this 15-year-old kid. His name was Shubham. So I would see him loitering around. So I just went up to him one day and I said, what do you want to become? Do you go to school? What are you doing? And he told me, yes, I've enrolled in school. I do go, but I'm not too interested. I'm not as regular because even if I study, what is going to happen? It's not like I'm going to get a job, or it's not like I'll end up even going to college. So you see this stark difference.
Yeah.
One side, you have a very aspirational youth. It doesn't matter that he's from a rural area in Bihar, he sees limitless possibilities for himself. And on the other side, then you have this child who, in a sense, I would say the education system has already failed him. बिकॉज उसको लगता है कि मुझे तो जाके अपने पापा के खेत में ही काम करना है बट दैट्स नॉट द केस एंड व्हाट हर्ट मी द मोस्ट वाज द फैक्ट दैट ही इज नॉट इवन ड्रीमिंग मतलब सपने देखने के तो ना पैसे लगते हैं ना कुछ लगता है सो ही इज नॉट इवन ड्रीमिंग so like Pramod sir was saying that as educators we have a great responsibility to influence, and the education system in that sense has to cater to both of these children. One, that if someone like Satyam has such big dreams, I have to ensure that if he's a student of my university, I give him the wings to fly. And someone like Shubham, who's given up hope and is not dreaming at all, he needs to be encouraged by educators, and he needs to be told that you're going the wrong way. Whatever it is
Correct.
that you want to become, you can. So these are two things that really need to be addressed. And
No,
for
no.
that,
Yeah. Yeah.
yes, and for that, giving the correct skill set to students, that is necessary, because the sort of rote learning system and academic framework that we do have is problematic when compared to other countries of the world. So that is really necessary.
No, no. We really appreciate, like, you really give a very good examples, and those are practical, situational, which is stark difference, and
Yeah.
it brings to the point of mindset, and even you touch points of what Pramod sir mentioned, what Sridhar sir mentioned, and even Bikshapati sir was nodding head. I could see where you mentioned about the ruler one moving. So I think the good point is that Munish Govindji has joined with us, and he's joined at the apt time where we have all the welcome Muniji with us. Thanks for coming here, and we have very interesting points for you, sir. I'll just quickly wrap up. We have some very quick takeaways from Bikshapati sir, where he mentioned about the changing the mindset of the youth coming from the rural belt and giving them the academics and the framework from a construction side, changing their mindset. Pramod sir really highlighted in a very smart way of difference between skill and talent, and showing that how MBA has to be in a valued perspective. Sridhar sir really mentioned about how entrepreneurship, patents, and very key start points. Now, sir, when you are giving and from your framework of education policy, I think all these points are like a jumbling blocks in the board and like a Scrabble. So we would love to hear from you that how you address all shots in one sixer, or it's like what is your take or what is your viewpoint on it? Muniji, we can't hear you, sir. You have to unmute you, sir. Unmute yourself. या मुनीष जी आप ऑडिबल नहीं है सर.
सर एक बार अपना हेडफोन सर रिमूव करके दोबारा कनेक्ट कीजिएगा सर. सर एक बार रिमूव करके सर कंप्यूटर ऑडियो सेलेक्ट कीजिएगा.
So I'll Munishi, जब भी आपका audio आता है, just prompt up. We will hear you. So I'll move on to Bikshapati sir. So there was a very good point which came in from Pramod Saab on soliciting and the stark difference of mindset coming from Isha as young. So I'm sure we would love to hear your word of wisdom because आप ये really face कर रहे होंगे. ऐसी audience आपके पास आ रही होगी. So how do you really work on that mindset and how do you really coach that individual?
That's a good point. Government has already realized that there's a vast number of young population in India, and they need to be skilled up to make them wage earners or entrepreneurs, so that the country's economy will be better. We have, in 2009, we have that national skill policy with a huge target of 50 crores to be trained and skilled. Nothing happened, nothing much happened. And that policy was wonderful policy. There was no defect in that because we learned from Germany, we learned from UK, Korea, and got in various inputs and made that policy. And subsequently, 2014, Skill India policy came, said 40 crores of people to be trained. Nothing happened. Now you see the Skill India reports which are coming every year. Hardly 1.5, 2 crore people have been, persons have been trained. So what is the reason? What is the reason? Is it any lacuna in the policy? I feel that there's no policy lacuna. It's very fair policy, very intentional to bring youth into the mainstream. What is happening is, one aspect is the entire business model is relegated to the private parties. All the training institutions have to be, government will give certain scheme and funding and they have to deliver. The involvement from the government machinery was not that much. You look at why Telangana is doing well is, this is a state government supported institution with their funding. Even our chief minister goes on record saying that youth have to be wage earners for the society, otherwise society will limp. That is a message which the government has to give. The first thing is, we have to understand thinkers like us or bureaucrats are not the influencers. Who are the influencers in the society? The politicians. We have to accept that because they are going to influence the youth or whatever it is. We have seen a wonderful result. The Prime Minister heading Swachh Bharat, and you have seen the results, what it has brought to every village. So it has to be taken up at that level, with that awareness, with that mission mode, saying that it has to be skilling of youth. Like Ms. Patel has mentioned, that a person in his village doesn't have the ambition at all. So what the government has to do is, the politicians should start talking, the ministers should start talking that youth should not be idle, you should be employed. There are wonderful opportunities. There are so many sectors, sunrising sectors. You can take up construction, it is ready to absorb any lakhs of people, from anywhere in the India. So one is how the implementation, that is where we are lacking. The implementation has to go to the local bodies.
Mhm.
Local bodies, it has to be given to the sarpanch or the block presidents or the MLAs. They should start talking to the youth and saying, first of all, there should be enumeration of all unemployed youth in a village. Like the example what Ms. Patel said, that the boy is saying, my padke kya karna hai? Because he has seen his seniors are without job even after they completed their education. So it is the responsibility of the civil society in that particular village, the sarpanch or anybody, to have a target. Every year, hardly you'll get 30 or 40 youth from a village or 50 people. So he has to motivate, the village has to motivate, village elders have to motivate, the panchayat has to motivate and put them in proper skill development trainings and motivate them to migrate to the cities, urban areas for job. Once they get the skill and know that inside of the particular trade, he can be entrepreneur. Like in NAC trained people, painters, all selling professional workers, plumbers, electricians, they started their own enterprises, micro enterprises. So they hired some 3 or 4 guys from, they again come back to us after 5 years. Sir, I need 2 electricians. Please provide me. And he starts small business, small contracts. That is very much needed for as regards to making the unemployed youth from rural and urban slums. Unless you cover this group, the society, I think our country is not going to be shining bright in the future.
Sure,
Yes.
sure. Uh, Dr. Sridhar, I'll come to you. You really brought a very good point in terms of training, where you said that the corporates really say that we need a fully trained resource. And with hearing all these kind of stark differences and thoughts, what's your take? Like, I'm sure everyone has a plus and minus, but how you feel that universities can go a step forward, or how do you see the new policies can be articulated well or rolled out well at the last mile? So you have to unmute yourself.
Yeah,
Munishji, your audio is okay.
yeah.
We will come back to you after Dr. Sridhar.
Okay. Hello, sir. Am I
Yeah,
audible?
over to you, sir.
Yeah,
Dr.
fine,
Sridhar.
fine, sir. Yeah, it's the right question, sir. But I can connect your question with the, the young participant, which she said, a student who is not bothered about the education, and he said that what मैं क्या करेगा after the education? Really, it's an alarming situation, and she's correct. Not to know this kind of students are there everywhere, especially if you go to the rural areas, and especially the colleges in the rural area, even in the tier 2 or 3 cities, you will finding this kind of student. Now, as you say, now what to do as a university? How to improve the skill? In front of them, if you talk about the Make in India, no use. If you talk about the Skill India, Startup India, or Atmanirbhar India, no way, no use at all. First of all, see, really it's a challenge for all the teachers and all the faculties, especially in higher education. These, no, she's taken a right point, and we need an open debate for this. Though we say there are new national education policy, many things we can talk, but how to motivate these students? There are a very good chunk of these kind of students are still there. And what you say, we will develop the skill related programs. We will introduce the startup to these kind of people. We can we need to work with this society. It's very important. We have to work with the families, various families of these kind of students. Thus, by promoting, talking this this kind of program, talking this kind of Atmanirbhar, Skill India, Startup India, it's never going to work. Because he has seen with the many examples, he is sure about his thought process. No, even after doing the education, after going for the education, nothing is going to happen. It is not like Western world where school education is sufficient to get the job.
Correct.
So that's why we have to promote right from the the primary level. The changes has to be done from the repair work, has to be started with the primary level, sir. Otherwise, if we are going to have this kind of student, there will be more batches
More
like
and
this.
more unemployed youth in the time to
Yeah,
come.
very correct, sir. So we have to work upon these. No, I forget about the national education policy. Forget about the government policy. The work has to start from the university level. We are responsible. We have to motivate this kind of student. We have to train this kind of student. We have to identify these people, and we have to appoint mentors. Mentor-mentee program should be brought
Should be.
introduced to this kind of student. Otherwise, it's a big failure of entire education system. If this kind of student number is increasing day by day, then really it's an alarming situation.
Munishji, any thought from your side? I'm sure you would have a lot of inputs and insights to add value to what you would have also heard. Over to you, Munishji. Uh, so we are again not able to. Bharat, can someone offline help Muniji to be on the right frame? Because it's very, very
Yes,
important to hear his viewpoint. We
yes.
will come back to him. And yeah, looks like we are again losing his.
Probably that
Yeah, Muniji, are you there?
audio only has a problem.
Okay, so we'll come back to you again, sir. Bharat, if in the meantime someone from the team can help us. So I'll move to Dr. Pramod sir. Pramod sir, we mentioned about like great insights coming from you, mindset, skill, talent, perspective. So would you recommend some key takeaways from a perspective of the employability perspective of those management graduates? Could be that they have to work on themselves because there are some internal conditions, there are some external market situations and conditions. So if you can throw some light on those direction.
Okay. Before that, Panaji, can I make a little observation on some of the points that Isha made?
Please, sir, please, over to you.
Isha made some observations there, okay, about how we need to go back. Let me begin by saying recently, you see, there's a very interesting book which has come out about probably a year ago or something like that, research by Yale University professor. Of course, it's a American research in the US, okay, which is about meritocracy.
Okay, okay.
It is about meritocracy and basically in US, okay. And the book extensively, I mean, it talks about a lot of things about uh, opportunity, economic issues, and uh, and the uh, the opportunity for the
Hmm.
education. Okay, so I mean, it goes on to say that look how the your economic uh, position influences your education. It's not a lack of talent, but it's because you did not get that education. I have been fortunately a consultant with UNICEF.
Okay.
And incidentally, I worked extensively on a project called the Bihar Education Project. And I've traveled extensively to the rural areas of Bihar. Okay. I mean, rural areas in Sasaram. And I mean, you name us place, and I've traveled to, I mean, places where there is no other mode of travel but Belgadi. You see,
Sure.
or you couldn't get a place to stay. I used to stay with some of these churches have their guest houses.
Correct.
In remote areas of Bihar, they have churches and then their guest houses. So anyway, I'll couple of points that I would want to make from there. I think one important thing in primary is school education and education in general. As a teacher, we should become responsible. I think it's not a great idea to blame the whole. Okay. I mean, it's not a great idea to blame the whole. Okay. You see, I'll tell you the condition of if you look at reports after reports in the movement would say because of cropping season, because of this season, because of that season, there is a dropout among the children. There is a children don't come to school and all kinds of stuff. In the same location, you have next door a grocery selling shop fellow, okay, who runs a school, and he has a full attendance.
Okay.
He takes money from the child when the primary school education is free. The child is paying, the parents are paying money there, okay, and the school is full. I'll show you the another very, very interesting. I mean, there are certain experiences of that project. I mean, I would not forget. In Sasaram, in one of the areas, basically Rohtas district, okay, on the railway track, these people who used to work on railway track, they used to live in slum. Okay, there was a tree and it had a tree guard around it. And there was a graduate, unemployed graduate, who started tutoring these children. We started tutoring these children. He used to have a lot of children of these laborers who used to work on railway track and all those related area. They used to come to this tutor paying, and I'm talking about way back, I'm talking about 90s, early 90s, 1990, 91, 92, which is good 30 years ago. Okay. At that point in time, these poor people used to pay to this tutor 30 rupees, 40 rupees, sometimes 60 rupees a month. Okay. I mean, I remember at that time my salary in XLRI used to be 8,000. Okay. The point I'm making that 60 rupees had a lot of
Value.
hardship for that laborer.
Yes, correct.
On the other hand, you have a primary school. Teacher doesn't show up. He will, I mean, school is supposed to start at 10 o'clock. He will show up at 1 o'clock. Okay. And I mean, all good. So I think that conscience, we have a missing conscience. We take responsibility, but we think it's a job for which I get a salary, but we don't understand our impact of the job. What is the impact am I creating? It's like in industry performance management. I used to do some consulting. I used to say to a production manager, saying that if there is a rejection in assembly shop, if there is a rejection in an assembly shop, it should be your accountability, because it has come through so many milling shops, drilling shops, and all that. So, and if it is done to the specs, why should it get rejected? Unless the guy who has to screw it up, instead of screwing, he hammered it. Okay. So why I'm making it in the entire chain, the accountability, sense of responsibility, and conscience has to come.
Sure.
As a teacher, I should know my salary and all that. All that part. One way or the other, I chose this profession, whichever way, whether by choice or by need of a job. Having chosen, am I being truthful to myself? And am I being truthful to the people that I'm serving? Okay, it's a big question. Among teachers, it's a very big.
No, I'm sure, sir, it would also need a larger forum and a larger perspective. And I think you really brought out some good points like consciousness, accountability, which even Dr. Sridhar mentioned that many places, even we universities are more accountable and more responsible to work on that. And Munishji, are you back? Can we hear you now?
Sir, I am audible.
Yes, you are audible. So finally, we will hear the verdict on the education system, because we all have our. I'm sure you would have heard viewpoints coming from a younger perspective coming from Isha. Then a lot of practical experiences shared by Mr. Pramoji, Dr. Sridhar, Dr. Bikshapatiji. Very practical situations and practical challenges which we all are going through or facing in a rural belt or in an urban market, institutions and practical challenges. And we spoke about skill and talent. So we would love to hear from you, sir, that in this whole paradigm shift of education, how do you see things shaping up, and what are the course of corrections, or what are the steps that needs to be followed? Because change will not happen in one day, but we are all in the constant change now. So some key takeaways or key pointers that you would like to advise to our fellow panelists and to our esteemed audience here.
Thank you, sir. Sorry for disturbance.
That's fine, sir.
It's a very good discussion and fruitful points will be come out. I think the important point is mindset. Mindset. I am in rural area और कई बार हमने देखा है कि यहाँ के बच्चों का माइंडसेट हम चेंज नहीं कर पा रहे। तो मैक्सिमम बच्चों का माइंडसेट ये है कि हमें सरकारी नौकरी करनी है। एजुकेशन का जो एम है उसको उन्होंने डाइवर्ट करके आज के डेट में बच्चे जो सीधे सिर्फ उनका माइंडसेट ये हो गया है कि हमें सरकारी नौकरी करनी है एनी हाउ, चाहे हमें शॉर्टकट रास्ता अपनाना पड़े, चाहे कोई वे हमें अपनाना पड़े, लेकिन हमें सिर्फ सरकारी नौकरी करनी है।
ओके,
ये एक इम्पॉर्टेंट चैलेंज है हम सब के लिए और हम सबकी एक रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी बनती है कि इस माइंडसेट को हम कैसे चेंज करें। मोटिवेशन में हम कैसे उनको मोटिवेट करें, इस चैलेंज को हम कैसे एक्सेप्ट करें, सोसाइटी उसको कैसे एक्सेप्ट करे, सर गवर्नमेंट कैसे एक्सेप्ट करें, ये हमारे हम सबके लिए एक बहुत बड़ा चैलेंज है। बीच में हमने एक सर्वे भी किया था यहाँ पे पूरे झारखंड में, तो हमने एक पुस्तक यात्रा निकाली थी। एक यूनिक चीज थी पुस्तक यात्रा, क्योंकि जब हमने एक बार एनालिसिस किया था कि आज के दौर में बच्चे जो है किताबों से दूर भाग रहे हैं।
करेक्ट।
कोई किताबें पढ़ना ही नहीं चाहता। जब हम पढ़ेंगे नहीं तो ज्ञान मेरे पास कैसे आएगा, नॉलेज कैसे आएगा? ये भी एक बहुत बड़ा चैलेंज है। जब हम गांव में उस गांव में जब हमने विजिट किया तो देखा बच्चों में टैलेंट की कमी नहीं है। उस टैलेंट को हमें उनको कैसे मोटिवेट करना है और कैसे उनके माइंडसेट को चेंज करते हुए सोसाइटी और देश के लिए लेके आना है, ये हमारे लिए एक बहुत बड़ा चैलेंज है। हम आपको अगर आप इतिहास की तरफ ले जाते हैं तो स्वामी दयानंद सरस्वती ने एक वर्ड कहा था, वेदों की ओर लौटो। वेद अर्थात ज्ञान, संस्कृति, और हमारी सारी संस्कृति हमारे गांव में ही बसती है और हम गांव को ही इग्नोर कर रहे हैं। तो हम सबसे है कि हम इस चैलेंज को कैसे एक्सेप्ट करते हैं, इसमें हम लोग कैसे काम करेंगे, एक बहुत बड़ा डिबेट है। और जैसा आपने कहा कि एक दिन में क्रांति नहीं आएगी, इस चेंज को लाने के लिए हमें काफी प्रयास करना पड़ेगा और कैसे होगा ये अब देखते हैं आगे चल के।
नो, सो बहुत ही अच्छा एक आपने पॉइंट बोला और एक बहुत अच्छा आपने प्लेटफॉर्म बोला जिसमें पुस्तक यात्रा, जिसमें हम पुस्तकों से दूर जा रहे हैं। तो यहाँ पे मैं ईशा, आई विल कम बैक टू यू वेयर यू हैड अ गुड एक्सपीरियंस ऑन द अर्बन मार्केट लाइक दिल्ली एंड यू सेड बेस्ट ऑफ द लॉट गोइंग बैक टू योर प्लेस। हाउ डू यू फील लाइक आप कुछ लेटेस्ट प्रैक्टिसेस को इनकलकेट कर रहे हैं? बिकॉज एक लेटेस्ट टेक्नोलॉजी भी हम बातें करते हैं, but how do we still connected how we are still connected with the old roots or with the ground reality? So how do you see that amalgamation? And you being a younger generation, how do you see that? Is it a challenge or is it's a two side of the bridges, or it's very easy to connect?
Yes, sir. So before I answer your question, some of sort of summary of what everyone said, and my addition to that was,
Okay.
I think the most important sort of factor that's come out is that mindset change is very important. And like Bikshapati sir said, that for that, be it our politicians or be it civil society, rural areas में
Correct.
पंचायत हो, सबको मिलके everyone has to come together, and that mindset change really needs to be there. And this one question, in fact, for the past 3-4 years, ever since I started my college life, एक question हमेशा मेरे दिमाग में आया है, is that is education, at least in our country, education is only seen as a means to a livelihood. But is education only that? क्या मैं पढ़ के सिर्फ एक जॉब हासिल करना चाहती हूँ इसलिए मैं पढ़ रही हूँ? I think it's very important that other than that, we also view education in and of itself. Education has value, be it my personality development, my holistic, say, mindset change, my own ability to assess things, to have that sort of, rational ability to assess things, view the world in a new way, have different perspectives. That part is really missing. Which is also what the sir, I'm sorry, the sir who spoke before me, he also
Ji,
tried to
Munish ji, yeah.
Ji, he tried to highlight a similar thing. So that is really needed. And like Bikshapati sir said, how much are, for example, say, our politicians focusing on talking about education? I think our GDP around on an average, around 3% of GDP goes into education. but experts say it should be about a 6%. So we really have to think about things like that. And coming back to what you asked me, that how is it that I'm trying to inculcate that sort of exposure into the students in my own university? Again, if I take an example, one of my friends wanted to go to an Ivy League school for her master's right after college, when I was studying in DU. So at the beginning of her first year of college, she had the next 3 years chalked out. She knew that every year she had to do 2 internships. She had to get 2 papers published in a research journal. She had to do certain extracurriculars. For example, I was part of the debating club, as was she. So she knew either I have to become president or vice president of debating club. So everything was very chalked out. Her
Planned
3 year plans were chalked out. And that sort of exposure, sir, you don't see in kids. When I come back to my own university and I meet the youth who is coming in from smaller tier 2 towns, tier 3 towns, or from villages, it's nowhere in their mindset to even think that that is how I have to plan my 3 years, which is what now we're trying to do with them. I try to tell them that, of course, you plan it out, because job sabko hi chahiye, sir. Everyone wants a job at the end of the day. Their
Correct.
education has to take them somewhere. Livelihood has to come out of that. So I tell them, for that, yes, you chalk out your 3 years. It shouldn't be that, आपकी third year में जाके बत्ती जल गई कि and then they come and they're like, ma'am, what should we do? Sir,
Yeah.
what should we do? Please हमारी job लगवा दीजिए. But you can't just, wave a magic wand and that can't happen. So they need to start doing that from earlier on. And secondly, we also at our university try to explain to students that don't just view education as an end, as a means to get a job. It's an end in itself as well. You have to come out of your 3 years of college a transformed personality. Your education has to change you. You have to be able to see the world in a new way. So these are some things that we are
No,
working.
correct, Isha. I would say two things. One is that you have a lot of good responsibilities on your shoulders, which is growing up, and you have a lot of good time and age in front of you. And one way you are blessed also that you have a particular group of institution where you have a university running, and you have kids coming and learning. So it's you are like a very good connector on two sides of the bridge and show them the real perspective, that how it can be really translated to what we talk about mindset, how people can bring the change right from the society, right from the perspectives, and uh, right from the place where people are graduating from universities, and they can even be a mentee, like Dr. Sridhar mentioned about mentor and mentee. So Dr. Sridhar, taking a lead from your point of mentor and mentee, do you feel that some things like skilled programs, vocational courses, ITI, apart from those blocks of like universities, because university becomes a bigger paradigm and a bigger canvas, जैसे हम नीचे ब्लॉक तक जाते हैं, तालुका तक जाते हैं, बिकॉज जहां हम एग्रीकल्चर रूरल मार्केट की बात कर रहे हैं, उन ब्लॉक्स तालुका तक पहुंचने के लिए आपको लगता है कि कुछ यूनिवर्सिटीज एक प्रोएक्टिव स्टेप ले सकती हैं मेंटर मेंटी प्रोग्राम को आगे तक ड्राइव करने में?
Yes, sir. Yeah, it's a right no question you are raised, sir. Yeah, this is also responsibility of the university. As you said, there are rural students, there are students from tribal area, there are students from backward area. We cannot think only about the urban or intelligent students. We get the variety of students. So we have to make a plan for those students who are not in the mainstream. No, their numbers are day by day is increasing. So what to do for these kind of students? So as per the even the new education, the national education program also suggests we have to introduce skill related programs like
So can we have some
certification.
kind of certification courses, जैसे
Yes, yes,
भिक्षापति
yes,
सर ने
yes,
बताया कि कुछ
yes,
एटलीस्ट उसको
yes.
वो वैल्यू मिलता है जब वो जाए आगे?
Yeah. Value-based program like certification, diploma program, especially for carpentry, like electricians. So we should not just depend upon the ITIs only. They are going to produce this is a job of university also. So we have to promote the skill-based program. There are many jobs are there. See, our young participant were are telling we are thinking the education to get the job only, but that is this no very sad affair. There's a sad state of affair with the population of 130 million people are living in India. So ultimately, what to do? We cannot distribute the education just for sake of knowledge. Somewhere this is ending with the job. We have to generate jobs. We have to generate the livelihood for everyone. So that's correct. She's correct that the education should promote the knowledge. Agreed. But at the same time, if education promote just the knowledge, what about the student who is standing in the last in the queue, not getting the job, getting frustrated? The education is no way is connecting with the hits or her livelihood. So as you said, university start thinking on those lines to promote the short-term courses, which is especially skill-based courses like gardening, like it may be electrician, carpentry. Many things are there. Jobs, the opportunities, this is never ending. It's in India, especially there are full of opportunity. Even I'm getting the manager. I used to get the many managers say we are not able to get right engineers. We are not able to get right manager. Means there is a job. We cannot say there is unemployment. The problem is it's a problem with our education system. We are not able to develop skill-based individual. That's the issue.
So here it takes. Ji Pramod ji, you want to add something? Please add something. Yeah.
I have one point to make to the educators.
Ji.
I think it says when a student joins an institution, it is full right of a student to decide what he wants. It is his full right. You cannot say to him, you choose this, you don't choose that. Okay. He says, I'm joining a management program. I mean, I'm very clear on this. If a student says, I'm joining an MBA program because I want a job, I have no business to say, no, you should be an entrepreneur.
Correct.
I have no business to do this. You can't be passing the buck. I have every business to say to the child that I cannot train you for the job. But when I take the student in my institution, can I say this? I love your money that you pay as a fee, but I don't love your aspirations.
Yeah, that's a very tricky point. That's a very tricky point.
कोई बात नहीं हुई. I should refuse to a student who I cannot train.
Yeah.
No, we got to become responsible. लोगों के पैसे ले लिया, पढ़ाएंगे नहीं, ये तो चलता नहीं. और फिर उसको ज्ञान देने लगेंगे कि नहीं, you should not look for job, you should become an entrepreneur. नहीं, वो आप उसको entry point पे बोलो.
Correct.
We tell him at the entry point.
So I think very good point where you
नहीं करेंगे, आओ या मत आओ.
Correct. You raise certain things like accountability, mindset,
We have to be truthful to ourselves.
Absolutely. And this takes me to one question to you, Bikshapatiji sir, where you have this kind of academy of construction. एक पहले हमारी community mindset था कि काफी लोग बाहर jobs के लिए जाते थे construction के लिए, especially minings, refineries towards Gulf, towards Middle East, towards Europe. ऐसा कोई हमारा सर्टिफिकेशन प्रोग्राम है सर? सॉरी, पार्डन मी इफ आई एम नॉट अवेयर, जहां पे हम बोलें कि हमारा वो सर्टिफिकेशन प्रोग्राम इज वैलिड नेशनली as well as even in the European markets? Because देखिए, we all understand and we say that India has a great talent, 1.39 billion population, amazing skills. कोई हमारे ऐसे सर्टिफिकेशंस हैं जो कि हमारी नेशनल यूनिवर्सिटीज या जो भी हमारी एस्टीम्ड बॉडीज हैं इंडियन एजुकेशन सिस्टम में or with the global bodies, they are accredited well so that people who do those certifications or skill based programs, वो लोग बाहर जाके भी अपना कैरियर बना सकें और हमारे नेशन को भी उसमें वैल्यू ऐड मिले.
Right, sir. Right now, the certificates issued by all these training academies are from NSDC.
Okay.
NSDC has 30 or 40 sectoral units, and one is the construction unit like that. So these certificates valid across India. They are valid throughout India. But right now, there is no agreement between the global, at a global level, that a certificate issued by a Skill Development Corporation of India is valid elsewhere. So what we are doing is we are trying to now have a partnership with awardees means people.
So I just like to do a brief like we have with us, and I'm feeling elated in welcoming Sri Ravindranath Mathoji, the Honorable Speaker, Jharkhand Assembly, Government of Jharkhand, a visionary leader and a true advocate of common man. Sir Bharat Jaiswal, namaskar, sir. Welcome, sir.
Namaskar, sir.
Namaste. Shall I continue?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes.
Ji, ji.
So what NAC is doing is NAC is trying to have some partnership understanding with awarding bodies in UK, where those it is certified by those awarding bodies. It is valid in Gulf, in Europe, and other things. But it costs a lot. No? So we are now arranging the poor buy is not willing to pay, say, 8,000 or 12,000 for one certificate, just for assessment's sake.
Right.
So we are trying to work out the modalities, but definitely that is an issue. That will be resolved when you have an agreement toward at the skill development corporation levels of various countries.
Look at it. I think that could be one food for thought for Muniji, and I'm sure there are a lot of frameworks that government and initiatives might be happening at a state level and at the circle level, at various levels. Even the bodies of universities might be looking, but that could be something that can really bring some more confidence to the youth और एक assurance, because जैसे प्रमोद जी ने बोला कि मैं जाऊं और मुझे assurance नहीं है, accountability नहीं, तो एक fear है सबके मन में, कहीं ना कहीं एक लाइवलीहुड है और सबके दिमाग में कहीं ना कोई चैलेंज है जिसको वो एड्रेस करना चाह रहा है, तो माइंडसेट एक बहुत बड़ा रोल प्ले करता है। सो इसमें कुछ ऐसे इनिशिएटिव्स हैं आपके मुनीष जी जो एक पॉलिसी फ्रेमवर्क के साथ साथ आपने जैसे कुछ एक इस मार्केट की तरफ पुस्तक यात्रा करी और ऐसे कुछ आप इनिशिएटिव्स लेना चाह रहे होंगे या आपकी इंस्टीट्यूशन फ्रेम कर रही होगी फॉर द टाइम टू कम, जो कि और हम नीचे रूरल बेल्ट तक लेके जा सके या नीचे और ब्लॉक लेवल तक उसको लेके जा सके।
थैंक यू सर। देखिए, अभी जो समय की डिमांड है स्किल बेस्ड एजुकेशन की,
ओके
और जितने भी पैनल में है सभी लोगों ने इस चीज को हाईलाइट किया है, और अगर हम स्किल बेस्ड एजुकेशन पर फोकस करते हैं और गवर्नमेंट भी नई एजुकेशन जो पॉलिसी आई है उसमें भी स्किल को उन्होंने जो बहुत इंपॉर्टेंस दिया है, बच्चे का माइंड सेट चेंज करना ये हमारे लिए बहुत बड़ा चैलेंज है। अगर हम सब मिलकर इसको प्रयास करेंगे तो एक धीरे धीरे एक समय आएगा जो हम माइंड सेट चेंज कर पाएंगे बच्चों का। और समय जो है स्किल का आ रहा है, और जैसा अभी किसी ने कहा कि हम जब हायर एजुकेशन से पहले ही स्कूल एजुकेशन में जब बच्चा आता है हमारे पास, उसी स्टेज पे अगर बच्चे के एबिलिटी और उसके टैलेंट और उसके इंटरेस्ट के अकॉर्डिंग ही उसे हम उस सही डायरेक्शन में अगर हम मोटिवेट कर देते हैं तो निश्चित रूप से बच्चा जो है एक नया आयाम जो है हासिल करेगा। इसमें भी हम लोग को फोकस करना चाहिए। हायर एजुकेशन तो हमारे पास एक एंड है, अगर अगर आप देखेंगे अगर हायर एजुकेशन में बच्चे को वो हायर एजुकेट कर देते हैं तो बच्चा जो लोअर लेवल का काम नहीं करना पसंद करता है, वो व्हाइट कॉलर जॉब की तरफ अट्रैक्ट होता है। अगर उसे आप कारपेंटर या इस तरह के काम में अगर लगाएंगे तो वो नहीं करना चाहता है। अगर आप उसके माइंडसेट को भी चेंज करेंगे, मोटिवेट भी करेंगे, तो भी उस डायरेक्शन उस फील्ड में नहीं जाना चाहता है। तो अगर हम उसको इनिशियल स्टेज से ही उसको उसी फील्ड में जिस फील्ड में उसका एक्सपर्टीज है या उसका अटेंशन है, अट्रैक्शन है या उसको ज्यादा इंटरेस्ट है, अगर उस फील्ड में शुरू से ले जाते हैं तो ये हमारा एक चैलेंज है जिसको हम लोग थोड़ा बहुत जो है दूर कर सकते हैं।
तो सर क्या आपको लगता है कि हमारा प्राइमरी सिस्टम और जो मिडिल सेक्शन सिस्टम है वहां पे, जैसे आपने भी बोला कि उसका जहाँ पे रुचि हो उस तरफ उसका रुझान हो और उस तरफ उसको सपोर्ट दें, एजुकेट करें, प्रमोद साहब ने भी ये बोला, बट क्या हमें लगता है कि उस तरफ हमारा इंफ्रा है या इंफ्रा की तरफ हमें एज अ कंट्री हम काम करेंगे, स्टेट काम करेंगे, क्योंकि इम्प्रूवमेंट्स आई एम श्योर हर लेवल पे हो रहा होगा, या ये चीज आप लोगों के भी जहन या डिस्कशन में कहीं ना कहीं आती होगी।
देखिए आज के डेट में क्या हो रहा है ना कि बच्चा सीधे एजुकेशन की तरफ चला, मेरे को आगे हायर एजुकेशन करना है, ग्रेजुएशन करना है और पीजी करना है। जैसे ही हायर एजुकेशन पहुंच जाता है तो लोअर उसका जो इंटरेस्ट है वो खत्म हो जाता है। जो आज हम माइंड सेट की बात अभी हम लोग कर रहे हैं, फिर उसका सीधा माइंड सेट आता है कि मेरे को नौकरी करनी है और जीना कमाना खाना है, वही चलना है। उस किसी फील्ड में देश और समाज के लिए जो काम करना, वो मोटो खत्म हो जाता है। अगर उसको हम स्टार्टिंग से मिडिल एजुकेशन सिस्टम से ही उसके मोटो की तरफ ले चलते हैं, उसकी रुचि की तरफ डाइवर्ट करते हैं, तो डेफिनेटली अगर हम, ये मेरा मानना है कि वो निश्चित रूप से कुछ ना कुछ आगे बहुत अच्छा करेगा।
तो इसमें हम लोग कुछ उम्मीद करें कि सरकार की तरफ से आई एम श्योर कुछ पॉलिसीज आप लोग फ्रेम कर रहे होंगे, कुछ प्रयास होंगे जहाँ पे उसको एक संतुष्टि मिले, एक सेटिस्फैक्शन मिले कि हाँ, अगर मैं आगे इस डायरेक्शन की तरफ जाता हूँ तो मैं सही डायरेक्शन में हूँ, मैं कहीं लॉस्ट नहीं हूँ, मैं कहीं रेस में नहीं रह जाता। जो एक कंपटीशन की हम बात कर रहे थे और जो डॉक्टर श्रीधर ने भी बोला कि देयर इज सो मच ऑफ कंपटीशन, और एक जॉब्स के लिए जाते हैं, इवन मल्टीनेशनल से इसकी ट्रेंड नहीं है, बट वो शायद कैंडिडेट अपनी तरफ से तो एफर्ट कर रहा है, बट मल्टीनेशनल उसको पास नहीं कर रहा, नॉर्मल कंपनी पे वो जाना नहीं चाहता। तो वेयर डू वी लैंड अप, वेयर एक्चुअली द सिचुएशन इज?
देखिए अभी गवर्नमेंट इस पे काम कर रही है, और
जी,
जो नई एजुकेशन पॉलिसी आई है उसमें ये चीज शायद उसमें है कि हम
ओके,
इनिशियल स्टेज से ही बच्चों को जिस फील्ड में उनकी रुचि है उस फील्ड में की तरफ उनको ले जाए। क्योंकि आपने भी असेस किया होगा, बच्चा जो है एमबीबीएस कर लेता है और एमबीबीएस करके सीधे आईएएस बन जाता है,
हम्म,
ये आपने भी देखा होगा। तो उसकी एमबीबीएस की डिग्री तो बेकार हो गई।
करेक्ट,
तो अगर उसका इंटरेस्ट अगर एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन में ही है तो डे वन से हम उसको उस फील्ड में क्यों नहीं ले जाए।
हम्म।
तो अगर इस तरह की सोच अगर हम लोग आगे डेवलप करेंगे तो डेफिनेटली हम लोग ग्रोथ होगा, सोसाइटी का भी होगा, और हम एक निश्चित रूप से एक जो है अचीव कर पाएंगे।
डॉक्टर श्रीधर, एनी थॉट्स फ्रॉम योर साइड ऑन दीज लाइंस? जब आपके यूनिवर्सिटी में लोग आते हैं, बच्चे लोग आते हैं, सो डेफिनेटली एक मेरिट, एक लेवल होना चाहिए, बट डू यू ऑल्सो लुक एट एन इंडिविजुअल कैपेबिलिटीज एंड इंटेलिजेंस?
Yes, sir. Am I audible, sir?
Yes, you are, sir.
Yeah. We conduct our own examinations, sir, and university conduct our own examination. On the base of those questions which we are framed, that questions are framed based on the intelligentsia, IQ level, so many, the emotional quotient level. We test the student and we give the admission as per the the norms of UGC, sir. So yes, we follow those entry level examination for the student. That's correct, sir. At the same time, sir, Munish ji has raised one point. He said, no, the job, the profession, we are not, taking account like the carpentry, or he said the electrician or gardener. So the people are not ready to know to do this job. Yes, this is one of the thought he has been hitted. That is the food for thought, especially for our the people with the connected with the academics. Yes, why this such thing is going on? Especially if you go to the West, every job has got equal value. In India, if you're an engineer, you are good. If you're a doctor, you are good. If you are IAS officer, collector, you are good. But carpenter do not have any role. And the other small job, sweeper, do not have any role. Why? So that's why another thing, another chapter is added now in the discussion, that is the dignity of job. Very important factor. This has to be promoted right from the school level. Every job is important. Every job is useful. Every job is significant if you do with an honest set of mind. So yes, your question is correct, and this has to be promoted right from the school level as well as in the college level. So thank you, Munish sir, you're raising a right point. This no dignity of job must be introduced as far as any schemes are concerned, maybe college or school.
No, no, perfect. Even Bikshapatiji sir pointed out this point of dignity of the contractual laborers, और उसका जो एक टैगलाइन बन जाता है कि ये तो लेबरर है या कॉन्ट्रैक्टर है। सो वो माइंडसेट पे काम करना बहुत जरूरी है। उस पे प्रमोद सर, आप कुछ इनपुट्स देना चाहेंगे फॉर some of the universities and the people who are running good educational institutions at a primary or a middle level?
Certainly, most certainly. I'm going to focus only on what institutions can. I have those experiences. Okay.
Correct, yeah.
One thing which institutions will have to recognize, that a student joins with certain thought process and aspiration, your institution. Okay. This is point one that we will have to recognize, and therefore we should be clearly saying to them what will happen and what. Two, having done MBA, I would obviously want to be a manager. I would obviously want to do a job which is an executive job. I mean, right in the beginning, I said an MBA being a telecaller, is that what I wanted? Okay, I'll I mean, I'll share with you a very interesting story. Okay, so the uh, I come from Allahabad, my hometown. I mean, my ancestral place is Allahabad. So there's a girl who came to study in some institution in Pune. I don't want to name the institution. Okay, a very bright girl, very very bright. Okay, I mean, all possible ways. Let me tell you, she was actually very bright. It was very unfair for her to meet this kind of end. I mean, not fair for the institution to have doing that damage to her. Okay, she came to me saying she needed help for her employment. So because she was from Allahabad, I was from Allahabad. Through my reference of my sister, she came to me. She says to me that she is getting jobs with salary of 12,000 and 15,000, and made a statement saying that I didn't come all the way from Allahabad to Pune for this. I mean, we must understand as educators this. Okay. So I told her that, look, उसका नाम भारती था. I told Bharti, you didn't come from Allahabad to Pune. You came from Allahabad to that specific institution. That is Pune also has ISBM. Pune also has symbiosis. Okay. So you didn't come to Pune. You came to that specific institution. Okay. So I think what I'm making is, somewhere as an institution, we'll have to focus on the child. College admission is not like going to a park. मैं कोई पार्क में घूमने नहीं जा रहा हूँ, कोई टिकट लिया और घूम के चले आए. I mean, I am being duly admitted. There is a process. Okay. The next another point I would like to highlight is I'm not sure whether we should so much rely on government and politician and these things. Personally speaking, I'm very apolitical. I don't connect with anyone, and I keep away from both government and politics. Okay, in 21 years of my institution, I've never invited local MPs, MLAs, and all that to my institution. Okay, and I've not invited bureaucrats to my institution. Okay, for inaugurating this, no, yes, I'm not. Okay, if I have to have somebody speak to the students about what is public service, then I can call somebody to speak, but I would not invite them to inaugurate a karo, inaugurate. Okay, I think and nobody really disturbs me. I can do a good job. I mean, I have really no complaints. Okay, and people do respect the fact that you do a good job. Okay, वो हमको trouble, वो हमको pester भी नहीं करते. Okay, so I think in our own area, if we do the great job and mandate to ourselves that this is what I want to do, I think everything will change if each one of us do that. Institutions, universities which are large have a big challenge because you have teachers, employees, and all that. But you'll have to work on them. You'll have to work on it because eventually the delivery point is at that level. So you'll have to work on them. That's my final point.
Perfect. Dr. Sridhar, coming to you on one point, I'm sure with this last couple of months, with all this lockdown, opening, closing, how do you see this so-called hybrid model playing a role, and digital and technology adding any value, or is it like bridging the gap, or is it becoming an instrumental tool? How do you see this contributing towards the overall perspective we spoke about? So you have to unmute yourself.
Yeah, it's a right question you have raised, sir. Yeah, this is we are facing, and we are teaching in a hybrid mode. Not only we are the entire, globe. It's a global phenomenon, a global scenario. There is no way to, this. This has to be. What I feel, looking to the present situation, for coming at least 1 year, minimum 1 year, this is going to be there like this only. We have to take the help of with digital technology, along, especially there should be a blend between the our traditional teaching and as well as the the changing scenario. But as my personal opinion is, there is no substitute for no traditional teaching. There is no substitute for blackboard and chalk. That no substitute. But since where this because of pandemic and various things, we have to follow the blended teaching. And yes, we have to seek the help of technology and the digital, and even students. The taste is also changing. So we have to bring the various technological efforts, especially in teaching methodology, and we cannot run away with this. And yes, the young teachers as well as the old teacher has to learn various technology, how to use these things. And we have to, and even as a university we have introduced various technology. We are following smart boards and whatnot. And while teaching also, we are introducing various kind of digital mode. We have introduced various kind of books and library which is 100% online. And we introduce various digital technology and library also. So yes, then we have to bring this. We cannot run away from this, and this blended technology we have to follow, and this is the call of the tomorrow.
So Isha, this question brings to you because all these kind of blended technologies which we spoke about is doing any value add in your market, in your situation, or the kids are really understanding it? Yeah, unke liye is just like a alien planet.
Sir, very similar opinion to Sridhar, sir. Even personally, I believe there is no substitute to physical learning, honestly, because if you have children at home or whatever, if you ever observed students studying physically through, sorry, online through Zoom meetings or whatever Google meetings, you see that attention span is very low. The kind of engagement that you can have on a physical one-to-one traditional learning basis is much more than you can have on an online platform. Similarly, if I see it from a teacher's perspective, um, I feel it's very monotonous and sort of unmotivating looking at blank screens and just teaching like this blank screen. Students videos are off and then you never know when a student zones out and zones in. So in that sense, I do think it has been a loss. Apart from that, a very important issue is that not all students are privileged enough to have phones or
Right.
laptops, or they aren't necessarily living in areas where you have internet connectivity. So in that sense also it has been a loss. But having said that, we have to adapt. Of course, when the pandemic hit us instantly, to bridge that gap was a challenge. But like Sridhar sir is mentioning, in his university we've done similar things, whether it be e-library, on our portal, students having to submit their assignments on the portal or conducting online examinations via the portal itself, giving students a login ID, password, all of that. So we've also done all these things to make it as seamless and as easy for students.
Sure.
But yes, personally, again, I think there is no substitute
No.
to.
Fair point. So, Munishi, do you think that in the new policy, new system, how much time we anticipate that we will be having this kind of connectivity to the last mile and bring this kind of hybrid learnings or possible options of learning?
First of all, I agreed with Dr. Sridhar and Isa. There is no substitute offline classes. Yes, it's a time pass for a student. जैसा कि बहुत दिन घर का खाना खाते खाते उब गए तो एक दिन चलो रेस्टोरेंट में खा लेते हैं, टेस्ट चेंज कर लेते हैं. ये ब्लेंडेड मोड जो है सेम उसी पैटर्न पे है. कोई नॉलेज नहीं मिल रहा बच्चों को, एकदम जीरो है. तो लेकिन समय की मांग है, समय के अकॉर्डिंग हमें चलना पड़ता है। और सेकंड क्वेश्चन की न्यू एजुकेशन पॉलिसी, जैसा आपने कहा है कि बहुत जल्दी ही गवर्नमेंट उस पर काम कर रही है और जस्ट एक विद इन ईयर और 2 इयर्स जो है लागू हो जाएगा। तो जो हम लोग फोकस कर रहे हैं, जिस पर अभी हम लोग डिस्कस किया था, स्किल बेस्ड एजुकेशन पे, गवर्नमेंट ने इस पे बहुत ज्यादा फोकस किया है, स्किल बेस्ड पे। और अभी जैसे हमने पहले कहा था कि इंटरमीडिएट एजुकेशन से पहले ही जिस बच्चे का जहां रुझान इंटरेस्ट है, उसको उसी डायरेक्शन में इनिशियल स्टेज पे ही डाइवर्ट कर दें। ये सारी चीजें जहां तक मेरा मानना हमने पढ़ा है कि एनईपी में है, और होप इससे कुछ अच्छा रिजल्ट निकलेगा।
श्योर। सो बिक्षपति साहब, आप इस पे कुछ ऐड करना चाहेंगे वैल्यू, बिकॉज आपके पास जो है वो एक स्पेसिफिक डोमेन बेस्ड है। सो जितने भी लोग अगर उधर से आ रहे हैं, सो डू दे कम बाय चॉइस और बाय पैशन, और इज लाइक यार मुझे कुछ नहीं मिला, मैं ये कर रहा हूँ, सॉरी बट some just wanted to understand that reality of the situation.
Yeah, that's the present youth has blue collar inertia towards blue collar jobs. But how we approach them is in a village or a basti, of urban basti, slum. We tell them that you have these options. Okay, you will earn a wage even as a worker somewhere. That is not the end of your life. You become a technical guy, become an electrician, become a mason, become a plumber. So you have a growth. And what happens is some of them join us and we place them in private industry. And he goes back to the slum or a village with with his backpack given by his company, some construction company, with a T-shirt, name written shirt. That really inspires other youth to join.
Hello.
That's how we do it.
जी भारत जी बिक्षपति साहब.
Now, like we have with us Honorable Governor Saab has joined, and also we have with us Speaker Saab also joined with us. Sir.
So should I wrap up, Bharat, quickly 1 second and pass it on to you?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Please,
Perfect.
please.
Thanks to all the panelists for giving us such great insight, coming from Pramod sir, Sudhir sir, Bikshapati sir, Munish ji, and Nisha, giving a good perspective and sharing a perspective of the young Indian market, where we all are saying that we have the youth of India, which is on the great scale, and a lot of good practical wisdom approach coming from you, Bikshapati sir, Pramod Saab, and Sridhar. So I thank all of you, and Munishji giving us some great practical inputs in terms of how the new education policy is adding up. And to the last, I would thank SOCHM for giving us such a great platform. I'm sure there will be a lot of good food for thought from coming from various fields, and we would love to share our thoughts and learn more and more on such esteemed panel. Over to you, Bharat.
So now, after this enlightened discussion on education, we may move to the next part of the program, that is inaugural and awards. So we'll be soon joining with us Honorable Governor of Jharkhand, and we have with us, I feel elated in welcoming Sri Ravindranath Mehtoji, the Honorable Speaker, Jharkhand Legislative Assembly, Government of Jharkhand, a visionary leader, a true advocate of common person. With immense pleasure, I'd like to welcome him, one of the humble leader I've met in recent past. आज मैं स्वागत करना चाहता हूं आदरणीय एसोचैम के इस वेबिनार में झारखंड विधानसभा अध्यक्ष माननीय रविंद्रनाथ महतो जी का हार्दिक स्वागत है। आपने विधानसभा अध्यक्ष के रूप में अपने दायित्व का न केवल बखूबी निर्वाह किया है, बल्कि देश के पटल पर भी झारखंड विधानसभा की गरिमा को उत्कृष्ट किया है। आपने अपना बहुमूल्य समय देकर आज की इस वेबिनार का कार्यक्रम का मान बढ़ाया है। Now the time has come, and we are honored and privileged of introducing an eminent and dynamic personality, the chief guest of this summit, a renowned public figure and a 7-time parliamentary and a great visionary, the Honorable Governor of Jharkhand, Sri Ramesh Bayaji. The presence of Honorable Governor shows his determination, his keen interest in development of the state through empowering the education sector. So now we are moving to the next part of the program, that is inaugural session. And we will start the inaugural session with a sector special address by Sri Pramod Kumar, Founder, President, ISBM Group. With briefly request you to please do a brief setting the tone of the today's discussion, sir.
Honorable Governor Saab, the Assembly Speaker Saab, my colleagues and guests. It's my privilege to be on this forum, and I thank Asociam for inviting me on this forum. At the outset, I'll say education is a very important tool and vehicle for both change, social upliftment, and economic development. In doing so, we are living through a government which has a very decisive leadership, looking at large-scale changes like new education policy in many of these areas. Our Prime Minister has been very, very decisive into many of these areas. And I'm hoping that we get some meaningful change. I look forward to greater autonomy to the institutions, unleash creativity of the institutions, and move away from the focus on the trivial issues related to whether the size of building is 5,000 square feet or 4,900 square feet. These kinds of trivials could give objections if that kept away. Probably educators will focus more on education and come up with a very, very meaningful education. Education with value is a mandate that I, as an educator, pledge, and I would like all my fellow colleagues to pledge that we create value for our students. And sir, I'm very delighted to be speaking with in front of you.
Now, with due permission from Honorable Governor of Jharkhand, Sri Ramesh Bayaji, Honorable Speaker Jharkhand, Sri Rabinath Matoji, I would like to go to the next part of the occasion, that is felicitation, with a deep sense of gratitude. Now the wait is almost over, and here I do announce the winner of the Assocham prestigious awards or Education Excellence 2020-22. So best university promoting research in East Zone is Kalinga University, Raipur. We go to the next one. That is best private university of the year goes to ISEC University, Jharkhand. We go to the next one, and that is best institute placement South goes to National Academy of Construction, Hyderabad. And the next one would be best B School, International School of Business and Media.
Thank you.
The next award goes to Best Private Diploma Institute in East Zone, that is VMIT. The next one is Best Higher Education Institute of the Year, Central India, Madhyanchal Professional University. Last but not the least, Best Institute in Placement goes to Franklin Institute of Air Hostess. So congratulations to all the awardees. And now we are going, and the wait is almost over. अब हमारे समक्ष हम सुनेंगे Jharkhand. There is, after this inspiring, we move to the next speaker who needs no introduction, a true leader and achiever. एसोचैम के इस वेबिनार में झारखंड विधानसभा के अध्यक्ष माननीय रविंद्रनाथ महतो जी का हार्दिक स्वागत है। आपने विधानसभा अध्यक्ष के रूप में अपने दायित्वों का न केवल बखूबी निर्वहन किया है, बल्कि देश के पटल पे भी झारखंड विधानसभा की गरिमा को अधिस्थापित किया है। आपने अपना बहुमूल्य समय देकर आज के इस वेबिनार में कार्यक्रम का मान बढ़ाया है। ओवर टू यू माननीय।
एसोचैम के एजुकेशन एक्सेलेंस समिट कम अवार्ड 2022 कार्यक्रम में मुख्य रूप से मुख्य अतिथि के रूप में माननीय राज्यपाल महोदय, आयोजन में उपस्थित तमाम विद्वत जन, प्रबुद्ध जन, मैं सबको अपने तरफ से जोहार करता हूं, नमस्कार करता हूं। आपने समसामयिक रूप से एक बहुत ही अच्छे विषय को अपने इस कार्यक्रम के माध्यम से रखने का प्रयास किया है। हम सारे लोग जानते हैं कि प्राचीन काल से ही अपनी शिक्षा व्यवस्था का समग्रता के कारण भारत को अग्रणी देश के रूप में पूरे विश्व के पटल में माना गया है। वर्तमान समय में ज्ञान सबसे बड़ा संसाधन है, और ऐसे भी हम कहते हैं कि नॉलेज इज पावर। ऐसे में यह आवश्यक भी है देखा जाए कि हमारे यहाँ शिक्षा का जो स्थिति क्वांटिटेटिवली और क्वालिटेटिवली कैसे है, हम इसको आपके समक्ष प्रस्तुत करना चाहते हैं। शिक्षा के मानकों में चर्चा करने के लिए हम सबसे पहले साक्षरता के आंकड़ों का उपयोग करते हैं, और साक्षरता के आंकड़ों में भी हम न केवल राष्ट्रीय औसत से पीछे हैं, बल्कि देश के अन्य राज्यों की अपेक्षा जो हमारे स्थिति है, हमारे प्रदेश का जो स्थिति है, वो काफी पीछे है। 2017 और 18 की जो आंकड़ा है के आधार पर झारखंड की साक्षरता का दर 71.8% है। यहाँ पुरुष साक्षरता की दर 80.7% है, वहीं महिला साक्षरता का दर 62.6 है। जहां तक शिक्षण संस्थानों का विषय है तो झारखंड में वर्ष 2015 और 16 में विद्यालयों की संख्या 41,000 थी, जो वर्ष 2018-19 में घटकर 35,000 रह गई। ऐसा बड़ी संख्या में विद्यालयों को विलय के कारण हुआ। वर्ष झारखंड के प्रति 1 लाख की आबादी पर 67 प्राथमिक विद्यालय, 56 उच्च प्राथमिक विद्यालय, 13 माध्यमिक विद्यालय और 5 विद्यालय है जो इस प्रकार प्राथमिक विद्यालय के लिए एवं माध्यमिक विद्यालय जो 7,828 लोगों के लिए और एक उच्च विद्यालय अवस्थित है वो 23,000 लोगों के लिए है। जहां तक विद्यालय प्रबंधन का विषय है तो स्कूली शिक्षा और साक्षरता विभाग द्वारा 87% प्राथमिक विद्यालय, 70% उच्चतर प्राथमिक विद्यालय, 55% माध्यमिक और उच्च विद्यालय चलाए जा रहे हैं। लगभग 21% माध्यमिक विद्यालय एवं 30% उच्च विद्यालय निजी प्रबंधन द्वारा चलाए जा रहे हैं। के अलावा राज्य की एक नेतरहाट जो कि विश्व प्रसिद्ध संस्था के रूप में माने जाते हैं, एक इंदिरा गांधी बालिका विद्यालय, इसका भी स्थान पूरे देश में है, और कुछ जवाहर नवोदय विद्यालय, कुछ मान्यता प्राप्त और प्राइवेट द्वारा संचालित मदरसा भी बोर्ड है, मदरसा के स्कूल भी हैं। इस प्रकार राज्य की युवा पीढ़ी शिक्षा के प्रति सरकारी विद्यालयों पर ही सबसे ज्यादा निर्भर है। इस बात को हमें स्वीकार करने में कोई कठिनाई नहीं होनी चाहिए कि इन सरकारी विद्यालयों में शिक्षा की गुणवत्ता वैसे नहीं है जैसे राष्ट्र निर्माण के लिए हमने परिकल्पना की है। अतः उपयुक्त तथ्यों से यह तो बिल्कुल ही स्पष्ट है कि हमारी शिक्षा व्यवस्था वर्तमान में पहुंच और गुणवत्ता दोनों पैमाने पर खरी नहीं है। अब तीसरा विषय आता है शिक्षा व्यवस्था में गैर बराबरी का, जहां एक और 70 से 80% छात्र सरकारी विद्यालयों में अपेक्षाकृत जिस तरह का गुणवत्ता होना चाहिए उस तरह का गुणवत्ता युक्त शिक्षा प्राप्त नहीं हो रहा है। और 30% छात्र जो गैर सरकारी प्रतिष्ठानों में, यानी जिसको हम लोग मॉडर्न स्कूल, अप टू डेट स्कूल, जहाँ ढेर सारे संसाधनों से भरा हुआ स्कूल में अध्ययन करते हैं और वे अपना संसाधनों के माध्यम से बच्चों को तैयार करते हैं, उस हिसाब से अगर हम विचार करते हैं तो निश्चय ही शिक्षा व्यवस्था जो है, जो शिक्षा देने का जो व्यवस्था है वो दो तरह का हो रहा है, एक सरकारी स्कूलों में और एक प्राइवेट स्कूलों में। तो दोनों का गुणवत्ता में सही मायने में अंतर है, इसलिए हम इस बात को यहाँ जिक्र करना मुनासिब समझते हैं कि देश के अंदर में जिस तरह का शिक्षा व्यवस्था चालू है, ये दो तरह का शिक्षा व्यवस्था है। वैसे विद्यार्थी मेधावी भी हैं, लेकिन अच्छे संस्थान नहीं चलने के चलते वे अच्छा स्थान ये अपने को स्थापित करने में उनको दिक्कत होता है, और एक ऐसे जो सामान्य शिक्षा के माध्यम से जो आगे बढ़ने का काम करते हैं। इसलिए मेरा ख्याल है कि शिक्षा व्यवस्था के अंदर में, देश के अंदर में समान शिक्षा व्यवस्था का होना निहायत ही जरूरी है। माननीय उच्चतम न्यायालय द्वारा तमिलनाडु राज्य बनाम श्याम सुंदर और अन्य ये स्पष्ट रूप से कहा है कि बच्चों का अधिकार केवल मुफ्त एवं अनिवार्य शिक्षा तक ही सीमित नहीं है, बल्कि उन्हें बिना किसी आर्थिक, सामाजिक, सांस्कृतिक पृष्ठभूमि के आधार पर, बिना किसी भेदभाव के गुणवत्ता युक्त शिक्षा प्राप्त करने का भी अधिकार है। माननीय उच्चतम न्यायालय द्वारा अपने निर्णय के संयुक्त राज्य अमेरिका के प्रसिद्ध ब्राउन बनाम बोर्ड ऑफ एजुकेशन बाद में भी दिए गए निर्णय की एक पृथक शिक्षा की सुविधा अंतर्निहित रूप से असमान है एवं समता एवं सिद्धांतों का हनन भी करती है, को भी उद्धृत किया गया। बिहार सरकार के तत्कालीन जाने माने शिक्षाविद मुचकुंद दुबे जी की अध्यक्षता में की गई समिति के निकटता के सिद्धांत, नाइबरहुड प्रिंसिपल के आधार पर सबके लिए समान गुणवत्ता की शिक्षा का सिफारिश की गई, परंतु विभिन्न कारणों से आयोग की सिफारिशें बिहार सरकार द्वारा लागू नहीं किया जा सकी। मेरा यह मानना है कि राष्ट्र निर्माण की दिशा में अपनी प्रतिबद्धता को प्रतिबिंबित करने की दिशा में समान विद्यालय व्यवस्था स्थापित करना एक महत्वपूर्ण कदम होगा। कोठारी आयोग द्वारा वर्षों पूर्व ही सकल घरेलू उत्पाद के कम से कम 6% शिक्षा में व्यय की सिफारिश की गई थी, पर अब हम तक हमें लागू नहीं कर सके। रोहित सिंगल एवं अन्य बनाम प्राचार्य जवाहर नवोदय विद्यालय एवं अन्य मामले में भी उच्चतम न्यायालय स्पष्टता से कहा है कि बच्चे केवल भविष्य के नागरिक नहीं है, अपितु और बल्कि यह धरती के भविष्य भी है। बच्चों के कल्याण की जिम्मेदारी शिक्षकों और अभिभावकों में निहित है। यह विषय भविष्य में अच्छा या बुरा होगा, अपने बच्चों की देखरेख कैसे करते हैं। शिक्षा राष्ट्र द्वारा अपने बच्चों में किया गया ऐसा निवेश है जो भविष्य में जिम्मेदार वयस्क की उपज प्रदान कर समाज के सम्यक संचालन एवं संतुलित विकास में मददगार साबित होता है। इस वर्चुअल मीटिंग में हमारे साथ राज्य के महामहिम राज्यपाल महोदय भी जुड़े हुए हैं। हमारे शिक्षा मंत्री के जुड़ने का बात थी, नहीं जुड़ पाए, मैं उन्हें भी धन्यवाद देता हूं और साधुवाद भी देना चाहता हूं कि उन्होंने वर्षों से लंबित झारखंड का पारा शिक्षकों का जो समस्या था, यानी इसको यूं शब्दों में अगर कहा जाए कि मेंटली इल हेल्दी टीचर्स के द्वारा टीचिंग लर्निंग सिस्टम को प्रोवाइड करना, टीचिंग प्रोवाइड करने का जो व्यवस्था चल रही थी, उनके अंदर में जो इंफीरियरिटी कॉम्प्लेक्स काम कर रहा था, हमारे राज्य सरकार ने और शिक्षा मंत्री ने इस विषय को समाधान करने का काम किया है। इसलिए मैं आपके इस एसोसिएशन के इस प्लेटफॉर्म के माध्यम से उन्हें भी धन्यवाद देना चाहता हूं। और साथ साथ राज्य सरकार ने यह भी निर्णय ले रखा है कि एक सीमित सीमा के अंतराल में अच्छे गुणवत्ता युक्त वाला एक मॉडल स्कूल का भी स्थापना हमारे राज्य के अंदर होने जा रहा है। मैं समझता हूं अगर इस तरह का व्यवस्था हम देने में सक्षम होंगे तो आने वाला समय में या शिक्षा ग्रहण करने में जो विसंगति है, एक जो संपन्न परिवार के विद्यार्थी हैं, अच्छे स्कूलों में पठन करते हैं, और ऐसे विद्यार्थी जिनका आईक्यू काफी अच्छे हैं होने के बावजूद भी अच्छे संस्थान जिनका नसीब नहीं होता है, इन तमाम लोगों के बीच में एक साम्यता स्थापित करने में हम लोग सफलता हासिल करेंगे। आशा करता हूं कि भविष्य में शिक्षा के क्षेत्र में उनके द्वारा ऐसे प्रयास एक मील के पत्थर के रूप में साबित होगा। और मैं अंत में मैं विद्वत जनों का बात सुन रहा था, वोकेशनल एजुकेशन की ओर भी लोगों का ध्यान आकृष्ट करने का प्रयास हुआ। वर्तमान जो कोविड-19 के प्रभाव से शिक्षा व्यवस्था जो बाधित है, उस पर भी उनका प्रकाश डाला गया। निश्चित रूप से एक वक्ताओं के द्वारा जो बात सामने आया कि स्कूलिंग सिस्टम ऑफ एजुकेशन का विकल्प दूसरा कोई सिस्टम नहीं हो सकता है, ये सही बात है। लेकिन चूंकि ये समय का ये मांग है, जिसके चलते हम लोग शिक्षा व्यवस्था को निरंतर चलाए रखने के लिए इस तरह का कार्यक्रम को शिक्षा के साथ जोड़ने का एक प्रयास हम लोगों ने किया है, ये निश्चित रूप से सराहनीय है। लेकिन ये स्कूलिंग सिस्टम का विकल्प निश्चित रूप से नहीं है। और मैं समझता हूं कि आने वाला वोकेशनल एजुकेशन के तरफ भी उन्होंने ध्यान दिया। हम लोग देखते हैं कि एक इंडिविजुअल अपने जीवन के काफी लंबी समय तक व्यय करने के बाद उनको अपना लिवलीहुड अर्न करने के लिए फिर ये एजुकेशन मददगार साबित नहीं होता है। इसको मैं यूं शब्दों में अगर आपको कहें, कोई एमए पास कर लेता है, उसके बाद फिर हायर स्टडीज में जाते हैं, डॉक्टरेट करते हैं, डॉक्टर ऑफ साइंस करते हैं, और उनके बाद अगर उनके हाथ में उनके योग्यता के अनुपात में अगर नौकरी नहीं मिलता है तो ये बहुत दिक्कत होता है। इसलिए वोकेशनल एजुकेशन की ओर भी ध्यान देना चाहिए। और सबसे बड़ी बात, उन्होंने इस बात को हमें जांचा कि इनेट पोटेंशियलिटीज जो इंडिविजुअल के अंदर होता है, विद्यार्थियों के बीच में होता है, इस इनेट पोटेंशियलिटीज का अध्ययन होना चाहिए। और इसको अध्ययन करने के बाद जिस प्रवणता की ओर उस विद्यार्थी के दिमाग के अंदर जिस प्रवणता है, उसी को हमको इलाबोरेट करने की जरूरत है। तभी हम समझते हैं शिक्षा व्यवस्था में अच्छे विद्यार्थियों को, अच्छे आईक्यू रखने वाला विद्यार्थियों को अध्ययन के मार्फत उनके आने वाला जीवन की समस्या और कठिनाइयों से उनको बचा सकते हैं। धन्यवाद।
सर बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद, आपने अपने बिजी स्केड्यूल से हमारे लिए समय निकाला। वेरी काइंड ऑफ यू सर। और वी आर द रिस्पॉन्सिबल चेंबर इज टेकिंग नोट ऑफ ऑल द थिंग्स एंड विल ट्राई टू, हम लोग चाहेंगे कि उसको हम लोग इनपुट करें और कैसे शिक्षा को और बेहतर किया जाए। अब नाउ द मूवमेंट हैज कम टू वेलकम द चीफ गेस्ट श्री रमेश व्यास, ऑनरेबल गवर्नर ऑफ झारखंड। झारखंड के राज्यपाल महामहिम आदरणीय रमेश व्यास जी का एसोचैम के इस वेबिनार में हार्दिक स्वागत है। आदरणीय राज्यपाल रमेश व्यास जी अपने सानिध्य और मार्गदर्शन से ने झारखंड को ऊंचाइयों पर ले जाने के लिए प्रतिबद्ध दिखाई दे रहे हैं। यही कारण है कि राजभवन की अपनी एक अलग प्रतिष्ठा है। अपने इस कार्यक्रम में जुड़ने से हम न केवल गौरवान्वित हैं, बल्कि हमें ये लगता है कि आपके मार्गदर्शन में हम शिक्षा जगत को लेकर राज्य में चलाए जा रहे अपने निहित उद्देश्य को पूरा करने में जरूर सफल होंगे। ओवर टू यू सर।
एसोचैम द्वारा आयोजित इस वर्चुअल मीट में हमारे बीच मौजूद झारखंड विधानसभा के अध्यक्ष श्री रविंद्रनाथ महतो जी, श्री प्रमोद कुमार, संस्थापक अध्यक्ष ISB एंड M समूह, श्री भरत जायसवाल जी, क्षेत्रीय निर्देशक एसोचैम एवं एसोचैम से जुड़े सदस्यगण और शिक्षाविद सभी को मेरा नमस्कार। एसोचैम द्वारा आयोजित इस मीट में आप सभी के बीच सम्मिलित होकर मुझे अपार प्रसन्नता हो रही है। मुझे खुशी है कि आज का महत्वपूर्ण व गंभीर विषय पर आयोजित की गई है। शिक्षा का हम सभी के जीवन में महत्वपूर्ण स्थान है। शिक्षा व्यक्ति को ज्ञान प्राप्त करने और जीवन में आत्मविश्वास बढ़ाने में मदद करती है। आपके जीवन में सही निर्णय लेने में मदद करती है। शिक्षित व्यक्ति ही समाज में महान नागरिक बन सकता है। शिक्षा से व्यक्ति के व्यक्तित्व का विकास होता है। व्यक्ति प्रतिकूल परिस्थितियों में चुनौतियों का बेहतर सामना कर सकता है। शिक्षा का उद्देश्य व्यक्ति के चरित्र निर्माण करना है। हमारे विद्यार्थी जीवन के उचित मार्ग पर चलते हुए स्वयं के लिए सम्मानजनक आजीविका के साधन प्राप्त करने के साथ देश के एक बेहतर नागरिक के रूप में अपने कर्तव्यों का निर्वहन करें। हम बिना अच्छी शिक्षा के अधूरे हैं, क्योंकि शिक्षा और ज्ञान ही हमें सही सोचने और सही निर्णय लेने वाला बनाता है। साक्षरता और शिक्षक मुख्य अंतर यह है कि साक्षरता किसी व्यक्ति को पढ़ने और लिखने की क्षमता को संदर्भित करती है, जबकि शिक्षा ज्ञान, कौशल, मूल्य, नैतिकता, आदतें और विश्वास प्राप्त करने की प्रक्रिया को संदर्भित करती है। इसलिए साक्षरता शिक्षा की ओर सिर्फ एक कदम है। ज्ञान का कभी अंत नहीं होता और इसे अर्जित करने की भी कोई सीमा या उम्र नहीं होती। शिक्षा का लक्ष्य ही है ज्ञान के प्रति समर्पण की भावना और निरंतर सीखते रहने की प्रवृत्ति। इस अवसर पर मुझे यह कहते हुए बहुत हर्ष हो रहा है कि हमारे राज्य के विद्यार्थी बहुत ही मेधावी हैं। उनमें असीम प्रतिभा मौजूद है और वे अपनी प्रतिभा से राज्य का मान बढ़ा रहे हैं। लेकिन पाया जाता है कि सरकार द्वारा संचालित विद्यालयों में इन प्रतिभावान छात्रों में अधिकांश ने शिक्षा हासिल नहीं की। वे उच्च शिक्षा हासिल करने व प्रतियोगिता परीक्षा की तैयारी के लिए अक्सर राज्य के बाहर जाते हैं। मैं चाहता हूं कि एसोचैम जैसी संस्था राज्य में बेहतर शिक्षा के प्रचार प्रसार की दिशा में महत्वपूर्ण योगदान दे। एसोचैम सामाजिक दायित्वों के तहत शिक्षा से वंचित लोगों के बीच पहुंचकर उनकी समस्याओं को जानकर शिक्षा हासिल करने में आ रही उनकी अड़चनों को दूर कर सकती है। झारखंड 10+2 तक की शिक्षा के लिए एजुकेशन हब के रूप में जाना जाता है। यहाँ कई अच्छे विद्यालय हैं, लेकिन अभी भी हमें सरकारी विद्यालयों की स्थिति में सुधार लाने की दिशा में काफी काम करना होगा। राज्य में स्थापित नेतरहाटावासी विश्वविद्यालय की पूरे देश में ख्याति थी। यह नामचीन विद्यालय के रूप में पूरे देश में जाना जाता था, लेकिन आज इसकी स्थिति पूर्व की तरह नहीं है। हमें इन कारणों को जानकर उनका निदान करना होगा। राज्य में स्थापित विश्वविद्यालयों की दशा में सुधार लाने हेतु मैं पूर्णतः प्रयासरत हूं। मैं चाहता हूं कि हमारे विद्यार्थियों को यहाँ की शिक्षण संस्थानों में उत्कृष्ट शिक्षा प्राप्त हो। हमारे विश्वविद्यालय नामचीन विश्वविद्यालयों में शुमार हो। उच्च शिक्षा की गति में सुधार लाने की दृष्टि से मैं निरंतर विश्वविद्यालयों के कुलपतियों, उच्च एवं तकनीकी शिक्षा समेत अन्य विभागों के अधिकारियों के साथ समीक्षा बैठक करता हूं तथा छात्र हित में नई निर्देश भी देते रहता हूं। राज्य में कई निजी विश्वविद्यालय हैं उनके कुलपतियों के साथ भी मैंने समीक्षा बैठक की और उनसे कहा कि वे छात्र हित में सरकार एवं यूजीसी द्वारा निर्धारित मापदंडों का पालन सुनिश्चित करें। हमें गुणात्मक शिक्षा पर विशेष ध्यान देने की जरूरत है। हमारे शिक्षकों को विद्यार्थियों से के बेहतर भविष्य के बारे में सदा सोचना होगा और उनके सामने अच्छा आचरण रखना होगा ताकि विद्यार्थी उनसे प्रेरित हो सके। केंद्र सरकार ने जनमानस के अनुकूल तथा उनकी इच्छाओं के अनुरूप देखते हुए नई शिक्षा नीति 2020 गठित की। यह भारतीय अंतरिक्ष वैज्ञानिक डॉक्टर कस्तूरी रंगन की अध्यक्षता में गठित आयोग द्वारा पंचायत से संसद तक विभिन्न स्तरों द्वारा प्राप्त सुझावों और चर्चाओं का परिणाम है। यह शिक्षा नीति जनमानस की इच्छाओं के अनुरूप है। इसके माध्यम से उच्च शिक्षा में गुणवत्ता लाने प्रयास किया गया है। इसमें शोध आधारित पढ़ाई की बात भी कही गई है। इस शिक्षा नीति में मातृभाषा की अहमियत का ध्यान रखा गया है। देखा जाता है कि बहुत कुछ जो हमारे बच्चे जानते हैं और अपनी भाषा में व्यक्त कर सकते हैं, लेकिन किसी विशिष्ट भाषा में नहीं बता सकते हैं। ऐसे में मातृभाषा को जानना और पढ़ना अत्यंत सराहनीय है। इससे बच्चों में आरंभ से ही इनोवेटिव आइडिया विकसित होते होंगे। झारखंड के परिप्रेक्ष्य में यह और भी महत्वपूर्ण है। इस शिक्षा नीति के लागू होने के बाद यहाँ के विद्यार्थी भाषाई कारणों से पीछे नहीं रहेंगे। इस शिक्षा नीति में लोकल से ग्लोबल का भी संदेश निहित है। यह नीति सबके सपनों के अनुरूप है। आशा है कि इस प्रकार की रोचक शिक्षा नीति के कारण सकल नामांकन अनुपात भी बढ़ेगा। इस शिक्षा नीति के माध्यम से सभी वर्गों तक उच्च शिक्षा को भी पहुंचाने का प्रयास किया गया है। व्यावसायिक रोजगार परक शिक्षा की दिशा में यह नीति कारगर सिद्ध होगी। एक बार पुनः एसोचैम को इस प्रकार के कार्यक्रम का आयोजन करने के लिए बधाई देता हूं। जय हिंद, जय झारखंड।
Sir, thank you very much from the core of my heart for taking time. आपने अपने बिजी स्केड्यूल से समय निकाला हमारे लिए, बहुत बहुत आभार, हमारा सौभाग्य सर. And ASOCHAM as a responsible chamber is taking note of all your valuable suggestions, and we look forward to work with the ideas said. With a deep sense of gratitude on behalf of ASOCHAM, I'd like to thank you for letting the whole world and country know that your determination for making India self-sufficient, a global leader, making Jharkhand education hub in higher education and skills sector. We hope our country and state will on horizon of success in the near future, sir. So now we'll be going to the next part of the program, and there I'll be just proposing a brief vote of thanks, and then we can close the program. So good evening, everyone. I have been such an honor to have participated in a wonderful event on behalf of our organization. I feel extremely grateful, heartfelt gratitude to STEM panelists and the awardees. Thank you, our guest of honor, Sri Ravindranath Mehtoji, the Honorable Speaker, Jharkhand Legislative Assembly. As a special thanks to you, sir, your thoughts are very inspiring to us. A special thanks to our chief guest, a special thanks to Dr. Pramod Kumar, founder, president, ISBM Group. Sri Abhishek Pandit has not joined. Munish ji from ISAC University, Sri R. Sridhar, Sri K. Country and state. Thank you very much, and it's pleasure. Thank you very much, sir. हमारा सौभाग्य है, sir. Thank you very much. We look forward to your continued support.
चलिए
जोहार.